Have you ever wondered why something as small as your belly might hold the key to better sleep, less keen, and even a stronger immune system? It may sound unusual, even a little strange, but stay with me because what I'm about to share could generate your way. You care for your body. I'm Dr. Thomas. I've spent over 40 years working with older adults, people just like you, who are searching not just for more years in their life, but more life in their years. And sometimes the most powerful changes come not from new pills or complicated treatments, but from rich old wisdom, simple natural practices that our bodies still respond to. In this video, you'll learn how something as gentle as castor oil applied to the navel can help reduce joint pain, calm your nervous system, balance hormones, and even boost immunity. I'll show you the exact method I've used with patients, backed by science and years of real-life experience. So, if you're tired of feeling out of balance, or just curious about how to feel better naturally, this must be for you, 'cause sometimes healing starts not with doing more, but with doing something different. Let's begin. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button, and turn or miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. 1. Improves digestion and relieves bloating. As we age, digestion quietly becomes one of those invisible we fight daily. You finish a modest dinner, nothing crazy or heavy, yet find yourself hours later feeling uncomfortably gassy or even nauseous. It's not your imagination. The natural decline of digestive enzymes, slower intestinal motility, and increased gut sensitivity are all part of the aging process. But there is hope in a place few people to look: your navel. I've been a physician for over 45 years, and I want to share a story that changed the way I look at digestion in older adults. Her name is Margaret, a warm-hearted retired librarian from Iowa. 74 years old, she came to me complaining of irregularity, and a sensation of heaviness after every meal. Medications had offered little relief. She was tired of feeling sluggish and disconnected from her own body. That's when I introduced her to something simple yet rooted in age-old practice: applying castor oil to the time. Within just 2 weeks, Margaret began noticing a difference. "Doctor," she said, "it feels like my belly finally took a deep breath." Her bloating reduced, her bowel movements became more regular, and most importantly, she felt in control again. From a medical standpoint, applying castor oil to the belly button stimulates the enteric nervous system, the complex web of nerves that governs your gut. Castor oil's anti-inflammatory and anti-spasmodic properties penetrate through the skin, enhancing blood to the intestines and relaxing abdominal muscles. It's not a replacement for nutrition or hydration, but it's a gentle, powerful complement that supports net's natural rhythm. Most seniors don't want another prescription. They want relief they can understand, trust, and manage on their own. That's what this method offers: comfort without complication. Now, if a small act like applying castor oil to the navel could soothe your stomach, what else could it awaken your body? Let's go deeper, because the next health benefit touches something even more personal: your sleep. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1, but let me know. Let's move on to point number 2. 2. Reduces insomnia and calms the nervous system. If you're over 65 and struggling with sleep, you're not alone. Insomnia is one of the most common and heartbreaking complaints I hear from my older patients. Waking up at 2-3 a.m. and staring at the ceiling for hours isn't just frustrating, it's exhausting, both mentally and physically. As we age, our bodies produce less melatonin, the hormone that helps regulate sleep, and the nervous system becomes sensitive to stress, grief, even subtle changes in routine. One of my patients, Harold, an 81-year-old Korean War veteran and proud grandfather of 6, once told, "The nights feel longer than the days. My body's tired, but my brain just won't shut off." Harold had tried over the counter sleep aids, herbal teas, even prescription medications. Nothing helped without side effects, so I suggested something unexpected: a nightly ritual of applying castor oil to his navel. At first, he was skeptical. "You want me to put oil in my belly button?" he chuckled. But after just 1 week, Harold came back with a different tone. I don't know how it works, but I'm finally sleeping like I used to on the porch swing, peaceful and still. From a clinical standpoint, castor oil contains ricinoleic acid, which when absorbed through the skin had shown to influence the parasympathetic nervous system, our body's rest and digest mode. By massaging just a few drops into the navel before bed, we activate a calming signal to the vagus nerve, the mediator that links the gut to the brain. It's like telling the body gently and naturally, you're safe now, it's okay to rest. More than a treatment, this becomes a ritual of care, a quiet moment at night when your hands remind your body that it still deserves peace, no matter how many birthdays have passed. And as Harold's story shows, sometimes it's not about forcing sleep, but about inviting calm. That's what castor oil can offer, not sedation, but serenity. But here's where it gets even more interesting. What if this same little ritual could help ease the nagging pain that lives in your shoulders, hips, or lower back? You might want to hear what happened when we used castor oil for chronic pain relief. 3. Eases lower abdominal discomfort in older women. There's a quiet kind of pain that many older women carry, a subtle lingering discomfort in the lower door. It isn't sharp enough to rush to the ER, but persistent enough to rob joy from everyday living. It may stem from post-menopausal changes, fibroids, sluggish pelvic circulation, or even years of tension stored deep in the body's core. Unfortunately, in traditional medicine, this discomfort often gets overlooked. It's dismissed as just part of aging. But let me tell you, it doesn't have to be. One of my longtime patients, Evelyn, now 72, had been silently enduring a dull pelvic ache for over a decade. She raised 4 children, worked full-time as a school secretary, and rarely gave herself permission to slow down. But after menopause, her body began speaking louder. She told me, Thomas, I just always feel heavy down there, like I'm carrying something no one else can see. She tried heating pads, anti-inflammatories, even physical therapy. Nothing gave her lasting relief. That's when I introduced something simple, ancient, and deeply restorative. Applying castor oil gently to her belly button and massaging outward, across the lower abdomen every night before bed. Within 2 weeks, she came into my office with tears in her eyes, not from pain, but from relief. It's like a body fine exhaled, she whispered. Evelyn had found not just physical ease, but a reconnection with herself, a moment of healing that went beyond the surface. From a physiological standpoint, castor oil applied to the navel and abdomen enhances pelvic blood flow, anti-inflammation, and softens stagnant fascia and muscular tension. The ricinoleic acid penetrates deep, encouraging the body's natural detoxification, and calming the nerve and pelvic organs. For older women whose hormonal balance has shifted, this practice is more than self-care. It's a return to equilibrium, and perhaps most importantly, this nightly ritual becomes a gentle reminder your body is still worthy of nurturing even in its quietest discomforts. Sometimes healing doesn't come from the hospital or the pharmacy, it comes from slowing down, listening, and touching the places we've ignored. Now, if castor oil can reach the deep, silent discomforts many women carry, what might it do for the aches and myths that live in your lower back every morning you rise? The next story might surprise you. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below. Let me know you're here now. Let's keep going with point number 4. 4. Supports liver function and gentle detoxification. The liver is a quiet worker. It doesn't complain. It doesn't pulse with pain, and it rarely lets you know when it's overwhelmed until it's already worn out. For many older adults, the liver's job becomes harder with time. Years of medications, processed foods, alcohol, even in moderation, and simple aging all put a burden on this essential organ. And yet, few of us ever think about giving it a break. I'll never forget James, a 77-year-old retired contractor from Michigan. He wasn't the kind of man who liked talking about wellness, but he came to me with fatigue, bloating, and that tattoo, the lowish hue in the whites of his eyes. "I'm not sick, doc," he insisted, "just tired in a way I can't shake." His lab showed mild liver congestion, but a system under strain. I explained that while medication wasn't necessary yet, his liver needed support. That's when I introduced him to something gentle but powerful, applying castor oil to his navel and her upper abdomen. Before bed he chuckled, You want me to rub oil on my belly and call it medicine. But he did it anyway because he was tired of feeling tired. A month later, James walked into my office with Vance in his step doc. He said, "I didn't know feeling light again was even possible. Here's why it worked. Castor oil, rich in ricinoleic acid, helps stimulate the lymphatic system, supports blood flow, and increases circulation to the liver and surrounding tissues. When applied to the navel, a central hub of vascular and nerve pathways, the oil begins to gently encourage natural detox processes without harsh cleanses or digestive stress. For older adults, this is vital. The liver doesn't need to be shocked, it needs to be encouraged. And unlike extreme detox fads or supplementox the kidneys, this method is soft, safe, and restorative. It's self-care at its most intuitive, touch warmth and stillness. If your energy feels sluggish or your digestion seems off, it may not be just age, it may be your liver asks for attention. And the beauty is healing doesn't always come in a bottle. Sometimes it comes from your own hands. But here's something most people miss: even when the liver starts to feel better, your immune system might still be lagging behind. And yes, castor oil can help there, too. Let me show you how it connects. 5 boosts immune function naturally. As we grow older, our immune system doesn't just slow down, it becomes more vulnerable, less responsive, and often overwhelmed by even the smallest infections. You may have noticed this yourself: a cold that lingers for weeks, a small wound that heals slower than it used to, or that nagging fatigue after a simple day out. What used to be a passing inconvenience can now feel like a genuine threat to your well-being. But what if I told you there's a gentle, natural way to support your immune system, using nothing more than your hands and a little oil? Let me tell you about Ruth, an 83-year-old piano teacher from Vermont. Ruth had always been vibrant, full of life, and rarely missed a day of work or worship. But after a tutor, battling one cold after another, she came to me with worry in her voice. "Thomas, I don't feel like myself anymore. I'm tired of always bouncing back so slowly." She didn't want more pills. She wanted to feel strong again from the inside out. I introduced her to the practice of applying castor politely each night, massaging it gently in slow, circular motions. It wasn't a quick fix, but it wasn't meant to be. It was about helping her immune system remember how to respond again calmly, consistently, and effectively. Biogen science says the belly button is not just a scar from birth. It's connected to a vast network of lymphatic and circulatory vessels. When castor oil is applied to the navel, the ricinoleic acid penetrates through the skin and stimulates lymph drainage, reduces systemic inflammation, and improves circulation of white blood cells. This is especially meaningful for older adults whose immune responses have grown quieter with age. Ruth began noticing subtle shifts after 2 weeks: fewer sinus flare-ups, deeper sleep, and a kind of resilience she hadn't felt in years. "It's like my body's remembering how to protect me," she said with a smile that said everything. There is power in routine. There is healing and intention, and for older adults, something as simple as nightly castor oil application can become a loving act of self-preservation. Your immune system may not be what it once was, but it still listens and it still responds to care. Now that we've addressed what keeps you safe on the inside, what about the one thing that makes every step, every movement harder when it goes unchecked? I'm talking about joint and back pain. And yes, castor oil has a quiet gift for that too. 6. Helps relieve joint and lower back pain. Pain has a way of shrinking our lives, not just physically. Emotion, it limits movement. Yes, but it also limits joy. For many older adults, joint stiffness and lower back pain are more than just aches. They are daily reminders of aging, of independence slowly slipping away. I've seen how this kind of discomfort impacts the simple pleasures: getting out of bed, reaching for the coffee pot, or walking to the mailbox without bracing for pain. One patient comes to mind vividly: Samuel, 79, a retired postman from Ohio, who once prided himself on his strong stride. When he came to see me, he walked with hesitation, each step measured and guarded. "Thomas," he said quietly, "the body used to serve me, now it feels like it's punishing me." He had tried physical therapy, over-the-counter pain relievers, even cortisone injections. All gave temporary relief, but none restored his confidence. So I suggested something gentle but persistent: A nightly application of warm castor oil to the navel and lower back, followed by a light massage in slow circular motions. Samuel was skeptical, but he gave it a try. Here's what happened. After 2 weeks, he called me, not for another appointment, but just to say, I'm walking my neighborhood and not fast, not far, but without pain in every step. From a medical perspective, castor oil contains ricinoleic acid, which has proven anti-inflammatory properties. When applied topically near the navel and lumbar region, it absorbs through the skin, penetrating deeply into soft tissues and joints. It encourages circulation, relaxes tight muscles, and reduces subtle chronic inflammation that contributes to stiffness and pain. For seniors whose blood flow may be slower, and who are more prone to inflammatory conditions like arthritis, Bezemli practice becomes a form of cellular kindness, a way to encourage healing without strain. More than physical relief, this ritual gave Samuel something deeper, confidence in his own body again. And sometimes that's the most powerful medicine of all. So, if you've been carrying tension in your back or stiffness in your knees, perhaps it's time to stop fighting your pain and start listening to it with your hands. Now, imagine if that same castor oil could reach not just your joints, but the very place where your hormones, emotions, and equilibrium begin to shift. In our next story, you'll see how castor oil can quietly help restore hormonal balance in ways many. 7. Supports hormonal balance in aging adults. Hormonal changes don't stop after midlife. They evolve subtly and often silently well into our 60s and beyond. And while these shifts may no longer bring hot flashes or night sweats, they still leave their mark. For many older adults, the signs are quieter but no less real. Unexplained fatigue, low mood, memory fog, or a feeling that something inside just feels off. These aren't just random symptoms, they are the echoes of a body adjusting to a new rhythm. One that still needs balance. I remember one of my patients, Dolores, age 75, a retired nurse from New Mexico. She'd spent her life caring for others, her patients, her children, her aging husband. But when she came mid-to something, she hadn't told anyone. I feel like I've faded. She said, I'm here. I'm alive, but I don't feel grounded. Her labs were mostly normal, her vitals stable, but her energy, her spark was dimmed. I recommended something deceptively simple. Apply castor oil to the navel each night, gently massaging ins for 2 to 3 minutes. Dolores, always practical, agreed, but with little expectation. 3 weeks later, she returned with color in her cheeks. It's subtle, she said, but I feel like myself again, like something in me clicked back into place. Medically speaking, castor oil does more than soothe skin. Its unique fatty acid profile, especially ricinoleic acid, promotes circulation to the abdominal region, stimulating the hypothalamus, pituitary adrenal axis, a key regulator of hormonal balance. When applied to the navel, rich in vascular and neural connections, it sends a quiet message to the body: restore, don't retreat. This effect may be particularly beneficial for older women managing post-menopausal hormone shifts or men navigating andropause-related fatigue and mood changes. But what matters most is not what the research says. It's what the body feels. For Dolores and for many others, this small nightly act became a point of connection, not just with her hormones, but with her own well-being. Sometimes healing doesn't roar. Sometimes it returns as a whisper, a calm steadiness that reminds you that aging doesn't mean imbalance, only adaptation. Now that you've seen how castor oil can gently support your body, in ways modern medicine often overlooks, what happens when we bring all of these rituals together into one nightly habit of healing? Let's bring it home, a gentle ritual, a powerful return to self. In a world full of fast fixes, pharmaceuticals, and complicated wellness plans, there's something deeply about coming back to simplicity, especially in our later years. Applying a few drops of castor oil to the navel each night may seem almost too modest to matter. But what we've seen, what I've witnessed in real lives with real patients, is that healing doesn't always begin in a doctor's office. Sometimes it starts at home, quietly, in the most ordinary places. Our bodies speak in whispers as we age. They don't shout with the urgency of youth, but they send signals: blowness, bloating, restless nights, emotional heaviness. These aren't just symptoms, they're invitations. They're your body's way of saying, I still need care, I still need your hands, your attention, your kindness. The navel, once the literal center of our life, through the umbilical cord, doesn't lose its significance because we grow older. It remains a sensitive hub connected to nerves, blood vessels, and energy channels that reach into the systems of the body: digestion, immunity, hormones, sleep, and even emotional grounding. When you place castor oil here, you're not just moisturizing skin, you're engaging in a form of intuitive self-therapy. A conversation between your hands and your inner world. I've seen it in people like Margaret, Harold, Ruth, Samuel, Dolores, each of them discovering that small consistent acts of care can open the door to larger shifts in how they feel, move, sleep, and connect with themselves. Again, this isn't magic, it's physiology, it's also something more: intentional presence. So, tonight, instead of scrolling through the noise or bracing for another restless sleep, try something different. Warm a few drops of castor oil in your palm, find a quiet moment, breathe deeply. Apply the oil to your navel with the same care you would give to someone you love, because that someone is you. Remember, this isn't just about castor oil, it's about reclaiming a rhythm, creating a ritual, and learning that aging didn't mean decline. It can also mean returning to yourself more fully, and more gently than ever before. Thank you for letting me walk with you on this journey. You deserve to feel good in your body, and it's never too late to begin again. One drop, one evening, one breath at a time. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned, and plan in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you. Here's to living life on your own terms.